Welcome to the betting show. I'm Calvin. That's Debbie. Semifinals of the WNBA get underway tonight. Sun versus Sky, Aces versus Mercury. I went 0-4 last week, so don't listen to anything I say on this show. Listen to Debbie. That being said, let's get into the betting.
The Chicago Sky at the Connecticut Sun at 8 p.m. on ESPN2. The Sun are a 7.5-point favorite according to PointsBet. Who you got, Calvin?
I'm taking the Sun. You know, I really wanted to come in with some big-time basketball analysis and make myself look smart, but sometimes I think it's best just to not overthink it. They covered in 2/3 of their games this year, easily the most in the league. They've been the best team start to finish, and they're only getting better down the stretch, especially adding Alyssa Thomas, who got some valuable minutes to shake off the rust, you know, in meaningless games when they had already wrapped up the 1 seed. Now they're rested. She should be ready to go. I'm taking the Sun minus 7.5.
Well, I'm going to take the opposite, Calvin. I'm going to take Chicago and take the points. I think Chicago is playing with great rhythm and balance. You know, I love offense. I think that offensive teams need to stay in rhythm, and defensive teams, while Connecticut is one of the best defensive teams maybe in the history of the WNBA with 4 players on the all-defensive team, I'm going to go with Chicago and take the points. Now, I don't know if Chicago can win, but I certainly like the bet.
The over-under is set at a low 152.5. You going over or under, Debbie?
I think that number is way too low for 2 teams that certainly can score in the 80s. Now, as good as Connecticut's defense is, remember Chicago went 2-1 against them in the regular season. And in the 2 wins, they scored an average of 84 points. Now, they're averaging 85 points in the 2 games in the playoffs. And while it's harder to speed teams up than it is to slow them down, and certainly Connecticut knows how to slow down an opponent, I think Chicago's been aggressive. I think they move the ball. They get to the free throw line on the road. And I think they are going to score 80 points against Connecticut tonight. I'm taking the over.
I was wondering where you're going with this one, Debbie. I know you love overs, but this Sun team is so slow and so good at defense. First team in a decade in this league to hold teams under 70 points. They've hit 2/3 of their unders this year. And I think we should point out Jonquel Jones didn't play in any of those 3 games where the Sky went 2-1 against them. That's going to help their defense a lot. And as much as we talk about the Sky pushing the pace and, you know, their offense, their defense is the unit that stepped up the most in their 2 playoff games. Both of those have hit the under as well. So I'm going on the under on 152.5.
The nightcap is the Phoenix Mercury traveling to the Las Vegas Aces at 10 p.m. on ESPN2. The Aces are 6.5-point favorites. Who you got, Debbie?
You know, that line keeps going up, and because the line keeps going up, I think it's based on the fact that Vegas is so talented. They have one of the best benches in the league. They can score from a variety of ways. Asia Wilson, of course, is just almost unstoppable in the pinch between the elbows. And as good as Phoenix is, and as tough as BG has been as a matchup problem for everybody in the playoffs, I think Vegas is too talented. And I think as much as we talk about bigs and about post play, this game's about the guards. And I really like the backcourt of Vegas, plus what they have coming off the bench.
Well, Debbie stole my talking point. I'm going with Vegas as well. You know, because of the guards, I do think that Brittany Griner and Brianna Turner match up well in the front court with what Vegas has. But Jackie Young, Kelsey Plum, Chelsea Gray, I think that trio is too much for the Phoenix backcourt. I think they just overwhelm them. They're too big, especially Jackie Young and Chelsea Gray. So I like the Vegas. Like Debbie said, the line keeps moving. We could see it at 7 or 7.5 by the time the game starts. I like the Vegas line in this one as well.
The over-under is set at 169.5. They score more or less, Calvin.
Well, this one is going the opposite direction. It's going down. It started in the 170s, and I was a little bit iffy on that line, but now that it's in the 160s, I'm ready to take the over. I think any Vegas game against really anyone other than maybe Connecticut should be at least in upper 160s and not in the 170s, especially when they're rested and they're going to push the pace as much as they have all year. So I'm ready to take, like Debbie said, the backcourt is going to be big. They're going to get some buckets. Chelsea Gray in her first playoff game for the Aces is going to come out and make a huge impact. The front courts might cancel each other out, but I'm going to take the over on 169.5.
Yeah, I'm going over, guys. You know that. I think Vegas is the most productive and most efficient offense. I think they have incredible firepower off the bench. They average 20% of their points from the free throw line. Nobody gets to the line more than them. They're tough. They're physical. They're aggressive off the bounce. I like the over.
All right, last question for the two of you. Who is the team you would bet on to win one of these series? Here are your choices. You have the Connecticut Sun as a minus 450 favorite. The Chicago Sky are plus 325 underdogs. Las Vegas is minus 300 to win their series. And Phoenix is plus 225 to pull off the upset. Calvin, which one of those odds do you like the most?
Well, I'm usually not a huge fan of taking the big favorites when it comes to these money lines, but I do like the Aces line the most at minus 300. I think it should be a little bit closer to where the Sun are at minus 450. I think both these series I see as being pretty similar in terms of, you look at the lines for game one, they're only 1 point apart. And we both just talked about why we like the Aces to cover this in game one for the same reasons. I like the Aces at minus 300 on the series.
Yeah, I don't even want to talk about that series, Calvin, because I think the Aces are going to win pretty easily. And on the other side, I like Chicago. I like Chicago making this a series and having a chance to win this. I think this is going to be very compelling. So I like Chicago, and I would put my money on that based on offense versus defense, which would be consistent with my brand, my name, my image, and my likeness.
Thanks for watching. That's been the betting show. Enjoy the games tonight and follow along at Her Hoop Stats on all the social media for more betting analysis. We'll see you on Thursday.